You're listening to Sarah Talk. It's political.
You could run a fucking pet rock against Donald Trump, and I would vote for the pet rock.
Yeah.
That's where we're at right
Yeah.
Critical.
One of the things that drives me nuts as an atheist is that my polling location is at a church. And I don't necessarily have a problem. I'm not going to like burst into flames walking into a church.
After being on this show and having heard your viewpoints on some things, my advice to you is don't test this. I won't burst into flames.
And positively LGBT positive.
In many states, you can still be evicted from housing simply for being gay or transgender. Stand and fight with us.
Oh, and occasionally completely absurd.
I don't know if you've ever seen a lightning bug, but he flies around with a flame of light coming out of his behind. The lightning bug got a flame coming out of his butt.
It's a beautiful night tonight. All the sodomites are out.
And now, from Orlando, Florida, your host, Sarah Austin.
Hey, everybody. Let's give this a try. Welcome to Sarah Talk. Folks in the chat telling us they're having some volume trouble and crackle. I've got Becca listening to it here. I'll just leave your microphone off. To see what's going on. Does it sound, everything sounds okay on our end. So, yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. All right. Well, Michael Kaplan's in the studio with us again.
Sounds good to me, so I don't know.
That was from the Goonies.
What?
That was from the Goonies.
Yes, it was.
I love that movie. Makes me want to tickle my armpit. Lick my forehead.
Okay, Chunks.
Dan is in the house with us on the Facebook Live. Dan's all moved into the new house.
All right.
Getting settled in. And I'm sorry, Dan, that I do not have my hair down tonight.
Video.
Oh, we have no video.
Sorry, Dan. We're getting it. There we are.
There we are. Hey.
Woo-hoo, yay!
So part of what your audio troubles may be here is that we moved some shit around in the studio tonight. So
yeah, for somebody that didn't show up.
we'll,
Oh, shit. Wah, wah.
I don't have that sound effect.
Well, let's play all of them.
Yeah, all at once. Yeah.
Wait, hold on. I got one.
No. Okay. So, yes. So we'll see how this goes. I'll check it in post and see what it sounds like. But the hair is up again tonight because
it's always up.
It's so damn hot in here.
Take your hair down, girl.
It's so hot in here.
Well, we went out today too. We spent a couple hours outside in the park, and it's just hot outside, and it's
not hot in here anymore.
hot in here.
It's not hot in here anymore.
And when you're moving furniture around and running cables under the table
Right.
for somebody who didn't show up.
You guys,
He was under the table, and I didn't even do anything.
Oh, God. Leave her alone. My property.
Oh, that is true. That is yours.
I'm almost out of Diet Coke, which means I'm going to be even heavier on the rum pour.
Listen, I didn't want to buy a whole bottle and then it go flat before the next show, knowing that.
Okay.
You should have told me. I have cases full of...
I wish we had.
I didn't realize
I have
it.
some.
You should always ask before you leave the house, how's your Diet Coke level?
I should just
Yes,
bring it
right.
on instead.
Morgan says, "Hey, girl, hey."
Morgan for the people. Offices. Orlando.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Morgan wouldn't
Only
have any idea about
well,
that.
she might. I don't know.
I don't, because that's a Florida thing.
Yeah, but
she's
connected.
I
She's
guess.
connected.
Anyway, Morgan, tell us if you know what Michael's referring to.
Okay, so what do you want to do first? Do you want to get the programming notes out of the way first, or do you want me to birthday?
What do
do
you
the
want to
birthday
do?
thing?
Let's do birthday.
Let's do birthday.
Birthday.
Sarah's birthday
Happy
is.
birthday to a little Christina right there.
That's something.
Sarah's birthday is on Monday, and so we had to do something because.
I should have said Mariah.
Yeah.
If we wait until next week, and then it's Mother's Day, and that's a whole different.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Do I have to read this card?
I think you should
Sure.
read the
Jesus
card.
Christ. So there's
Jesus Christ, he's in
couple,
the card?
couple of old ladies on the front of the card.
That must be you guys,
And
not me.
Yeah.
little voice bubbles. It says, we should post this on Facegram. Oh, Peggy, you mean Instabook. And then on the inside it says, another year older, another year closer to not knowing what the hell we're talking about.
I thought that was a very appropriate card for the
It is.
podcast.
Yeah, that's great.
Did you pick that out?
Yes, I did.
she
You
did.
nailed it.
Yeah.
I know. I usually do.
And we have a gift. What's the story? What's the story on the
This
gift?
is a gift from our patron, Russell.
Awesome.
That it's something you've been wanting for a
Oh
long
my
time.
God.
I can't wait. I
Dildo.
can't wait. It definitely does look
It
like
does.
I have
yeah.
certainly
I
had.
was drooling the whole
I
time.
don't think that Russell would be very comfortable buying a dildo
No,
for
he
Sarah.
just-
No,
use
probably
it.
not.
So
Oh,
Morgan
geez.
says that must be a Florida
Oh,
thing.
there's like a double wrapping job, really.
Double-sided.
But she says, but I think I could be there for the people. Love it. It's an attorney here that has a
Yeah,
bunch of
he does it.
crazy.
Hi, I'm John Morgan of Morgan and Morgan.
And I heard he has like 6 DUIs.
Yeah, he does.
But he's filthy rich.
Yeah.
And he's got a small penis.
I
He
had to
has-
double wrap it just because I'm a bitch.
He has been the one like leading the charge on like marijuana legalization
Yeah.
and stuff. Oh yes, thank you, Russell. It's Bernie Sanders, the real life action figure Bernie
Oh,
Sanders.
show them.
This is great. I don't know if I can get it over there.
Oh, you can. There you go.
I thought it was
There you go.
really cool. Bernie
That's
can just
awesome.
sit
That's
there.
Thank
for
you.
That's our other co-host for today.
Yeah. Bernie, step up to the mic. What do you have to
At
say
least
about
you showed up.
social programs?
Oh my God,
Bernie will always be there for you.
I'll be there. I'll be there.
Okay.
Thank you again, Russell. I appreciate that very much. That's awesome. I have been wanting that for a very long time. And before we move off the Bernie Sanders thing, they're coming out with a new one that is a same company that is Ruth Bader Ginsburg,
Yeah.
and I want that bad.
Oh, remind me. I'll send you the link. So
Yeah.
you can
So there's a
help us get
thing.
it.
There's a thing they do that like it's how they help get the word out about their new product, and the deal is like I signed up to get a free Ruth Bader Ginsburg action figure when it comes out. But in order to get that, I have to have 25 people also sign up for like the notification email for when it
Yeah,
releases.
you basically give
So
them
all
your
you got to
email
do is
get
give
on
them
the
your
mailing
email,
list.
Oh, God,
get on the
like
mailing
everybody else.
list. I need 20 more out of the 25, and then I get a free Ruth Bader Ginsburg action figure.
Actually,
Dan-
awesome.
I want to get my own action figure.
Okay.
Dan says Sarah
Patreon
shares her
goal.
birthday with Auntie Vera Charles of Pride 48. Happy
Oh, that's
birthday.
awesome. I didn't know that.
It's
That's cool.
Yeah,
Oh, we
Dan.
should find
But
out
did
more
you date
people.
check? Because her birthday's on the 7th. It's not actually today. It's just.
Right. True. But still,
So-
make
If you
people
But it's
Awesome.
right around the
Everybody look to see who else shares their birthday with Sarah. Let's see if we can find some crazy ones.
I can look up celebrity birthdays.
No. Okay. So
I know that's not your thing. That's why I
no.
didn't do it.
no, not at all. Morgan, I'll send you the link. You know what? We get to a point here when somebody else is talking. I will.
We'll
I'll
put it in the show notes.
I'll copy
too,
the link out
but
for it. Yeah. Okay. So just some housekeeping programming notes.
Oh.
A reminder: June 16th is Polk Pride.
Polka Pride.
We will be out at Munn Park in Lakeland, Florida.
Which means there will be no evening live show.
Right.
Because
But our hope,
bear shit.
it's going to be a long day.
I'm gonna be in the park all day just to come into this hot room.
But our hope is that we'll talk to some interesting people like we did last year and
Okay, Dan.
do some interviews.
Just double checking. Yes.
Yeah, you said Monday. I heard. Yeah.
No, I know I did, but sometimes I don't know what I say and what I think.
Oh my God, you're a mess.
Anyway.
Okay, so that's June 16th, Polk Pride. Next week's show, we will not be live in studio.
Yes.
A sad day, I know.
Well, no,
And we
it's
haven't-
not really a sad day because we're going to actually have a good reason. Because that day, the day before that, we will be having
gonna
lunch.
say, wait, what?
Wait, the day before that, we'll be having lunch with the Wayward Willis. So
The Wayward
Wayward
Willis.
Willis.
Right. John and maybe Logan
John, Well,
from the Wayward Willis podcast.
I was pausing because I was like, wait, I didn't say that the way I wanted to say it. Anyway.
So we're going back home to Illinois for some family stuff, which is going to be so great. Look, Sarah has never been to Illinois.
But I got you, babe.
So I know. I got it.
Don't sing.
What were we gonna say? I got you, babe.
Yeah, that.
I got you, babe.
Okay, so yes, we are planning to drop in and visit with John and maybe Logan from the Wayward Willis on our way up there, and we have a special surprise for them.
Yeah, we do. I'm really excited. I finally found the perfect box for it.
Yeah,
really excited.
We plan to take some pictures with John and maybe Logan, and we'll post those in the group.
Yeah.
I'm going to take some pictures of me naked, and I'm going to post it on my Instagram if anybody wants it. Okay, we'll do it.
No, don't do that. Instagram also has, like...
lots of rules?
Rules, yeah. Okay, so...
He was nipple raping me earlier,
I saw.
I had about 6 or 7 photos.
Look at my nipples. I want to see your nipples.
Okay, so next week, this is the plan, regular listeners. So we are going to have a pre-recorded show put together that will drop to patrons on Saturday, and then it will go to the public outlets on Monday morning like it normally does. So patrons will get it a little bit earlier on Saturday instead of like late Saturday night, early Sunday morning.
Mm-hmm.
And then Monday to iTunes and Stitcher and Google Play and all of those. And so on that show, we will be speaking with gay-at-home dad Frank Lowe, who is releasing he's got a book here, Raised by Unicorns, which is a collection of stories from LGBTQ people, or people who've had LGBTQ parents, right? So, like, imagine any of our... Can you not do that? It drives me nuts when I'm trying to do a thing and you have a face.
I'm sorry.
God,
it's too cute to not do this.
Drives me nuts. Okay, so...
Thanks, Morgan. Now I have to hide my face until she's ready for me to read. Go on.
Okay, so people who have queer parents, right? So like our kids, all of our kids, right? And it's written from the perspective of like I grew up with LGBTQ parents, and this is what my experience was like. So I've started reading through. Maybe I don't not even a quarter of the way in.
Oh.
But it's
I guess you just got it. So.
It's a collection of stories, right? So so Frank did not write them. He's the editor. He gathered them and put them together. So that's really cool. And he's a gay-at-home dad. If you want to look up gay-at-home dad on all the social media, he does some. He and his kid do some really cute videos. So we'll do that next week, but no live show.
Speaking of kids,
yes.
Evan says, "Hi Sarah, it's me, Evan. To Sarah, love Evan."
Oh!
And then it's unicorn emoji.
I love it.
Sunglass guy emoji. Little happy face with his hands up emoji. A poop emoji, which is very popular with the kids.
It's
a wolf,
super
a fox, I think, and a little puppy. So cute.
Hi, Evan.
Hi, Evan.
I'm sorry that our show has gone a little more adult themed than it was when we first met you.
I love it. Evan, you're a cutie.
We need to make a kid show.
We love you too.
That's what we need to do.
Yeah,
Yeah?
I
We need to make
shouldn't
a
be
kid
on
show.
that one.
No, you
Definitely
should
not.
No.
Well, I could. I just would have to not speak at all.
And also coming up, we're going to talk to Tony Duchesne, is the author of Confessions of a Teenage Jesus Jerk, which is a great book. I have now read it as of last week when we talked.
I love
Becca had read it,
this
but I had
book.
not.
I'm going to read it again, actually.
Yeah.
I'm going to read it again.
Do
And
any of these books come on tape?
Sure, you can do
yeah,
Audible.
There's an Audible,
probably.
yeah.
Is there an Audible?
Yeah.
Audiobook. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll
So that will be
hook you up.
a good chat too.
I can't read.
He's familiar with adult words. No worries.
Okay, good.
You rock, Evan.
Right? And then there's another book that we're going to talk to the author of, and I don't have that all worked out yet, but it's the boy with the rainbow heart. Yes, the boy with the rainbow heart. Yep, we're going to be talking to them.
That's a really cute
in the upcoming weeks too. So anyway, that's what's coming up in the near future. Again, next week you'll get a show. It's going to be Frank Lowe. We'll talk about his book and his life, and then that will just not be a live show, and then we'll be back to normal.
for a couple weeks, and then we go on vacation, and then we come back for a week, and then we go to Folk Pride, and it's summer, so it's gonna be crazy.
Okay, you guys do the show. I'm gonna talk to Evan.
Okay, so segment 1.
So I'm looking for a beautiful Latin
Michael,
5'9"
we talked about
to
this.
6
This is
foot.
not Michael's dating service. This is Sarah Talk, which means Sarah should be talking.
At least an 8-inch.
Oh my God.
Okay, give me that back. This
Please.
is way out of control. Okay, so let's start off the week with some good news for a change, right? We always generally start down in the gutter and climb our way back out.
So wait, does that mean we're gonna start with good news and go down? I don't want to do that.
Let's go down and then go up.
And then back down. Illinois, my home state,
Illinois.
I don't know a song about Illinois.
has approved a bill in the
I made one
Senate which would require public schools to teach LGBT history.
Oh.
So in the same way that we teach, we have a Black History Month, and there's a Black History module to the history classes. They are trying to do the same for LGBT folks. So the Senate voted 34-14. It goes to the House next. The House has a Democratic lead of 67-51. So that looks pretty hopeful. But they do have a Republican governor because it's still Illinois. It would require schools to teach a history unit on the role in society and contributions of gays, lesbians, and other LGBT individuals. Of course, the opposition has pulled out the Bible.
No.
Republican Senator Chuck Weaver of Peoria says this could infringe on religious freedom. Eye roll. So put up the whiteboard. We need to keep track of this one as it moves through the legislature.
Yeah, seriously.
But you think this is for schools to talk about
history?
Right. So
do you think it's
so you
right,
go,
though?
Well, okay. So let me give you an example. So you go. You're okay, kids. We're gonna this week we're gonna do our unit on LGBT history. Let's talk about Stonewall. Let's talk. There are major milestones in that mark the history of our nation, but in a way that was specific to our community. And what I think is important about it is that, like, the reason why this should go through and not be a problem is because it doesn't hurt anyone, right? Except the offended little triggered, religion card playing people. But the good that it does is if you're a kid in a shitty school like I grew up in with, no visible role models, with just to see like this is my history. These are my people. In the same way that for other culture groups, learning about their history and the making of this nation does for them. I think it's great. I'd love to hear if somebody hates it, but yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Dan, I will do no such thing.
As long as it's teaching it properly and not just making it like a joke.
Right.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. Well, it's just like, think about how, you learned about the Trail of Tears. Yeah. Which
or do we?
Or they're not really teaching it anymore. But think about all the things that you learn in history, and it's just things that happened. Like they teach about the Berlin Wall coming down now. There's all kinds of. You learn about Holocaust,
right? Right.
So
yeah,
I don't know that it
sounds like it could be good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in the same way that it has been done for. If there's a module on the history of women in the United States, right? If there's a women's history segment, if there's the Black history segment, if there's in the same way, like these are the people in our history who were queer, who made positive impacts. Talk about the Obergefell decision. Talk about like this tragic story of two people in love who were dealing with like tragic life stuff, I guess you need a paper towel after all. Jeez, but they're dealing with life stuff,
right.
And because the government would not recognize their union, it went all the way to the Supreme Court, and we changed the face of this nation. Teach that. Jesus Christ, teach that. Because that will teach these kids that, like, yeah, if it's the right thing to do and you believe in it hard,
you just stand up for it.
Go do it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
You will see Dan going into the comments giving Michael lyrics to a song.
Oh, he's singing.
Do we need to block Dan this time?
It's funny, Dan, because I know the words to this song because my dad used to sing this song all the time.
No, there's no song. Okay.
He said,
"Listen,
you need a song about Chicago. You need to learn about
Illinois,
Illinois about Chicago.
Yeah.
There's a song about Chicago.
It's not about Illinois. It's about Chicago.
More good news.
More good news. Yes, please.
City officials in Phoenix, Arizona, have approved plans for 2 rainbow crosswalks to celebrate Pride.
Oh, I've seen that.
The city council voted unanimously to allow LGBTQ groups to give the existing crosswalks a queer makeover, and these groups will also pay to maintain the crosswalks.
Cool.
Right? Hell yeah, let's do it.
I saw it's like a 4. Is it like a 4-way?
Yeah, it was really. Yeah. It was a different design, I think, than I had seen before.
Yeah,
I saw it somewhere.
Well, the one, there's a few different ones.
That may have been a stock image though, too, because like
That's
if they haven't done it yet, oh god, please don't play autoplay.
Yeah, that's the one I saw.
Yeah,
I like.
So
it.
I don't know if that's
actual
or if that's actually
their digital.
or not, but it'll be cool either way. And again, that's another one of those things that, like, if you are in our community, like, just seeing those little things as you're out and about is an affirmation. It it reaffirms that, like, okay, yeah, this is okay.
Yeah,
and it also lets people know that we're not going away.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah,
you have to walk on our walk. Unless you don't want to walk here, you need to go around
and
the damn corner.
And if you don't walk
bitch.
in the rainbow crosswalk, you're going to get a ticket for jaywalking.
That's it.
Okay, so now we'll climb down into the hole.
Climb.
Oklahoma.
How deep is this hole?
Oklahoma.
When the wind blows.
Okay.
Really?
Senate bill.
Nothing. I say, how deep is this hole? And all you guys can do is sing about Oklahoma.
I was going to say something about a hole, and then he started singing.
She
started singing. Well, you got me all fucked up.
Okay. Oklahoma Senate Bill 1140, which would enshrine religious privilege and discrimination by permitting adoption and foster care agencies to reject same-sex couples on religious grounds, was approved by both houses and now moves to Governor Mary Follin's desk. The bill states that no private child-placing agency shall be required to perform, assist, counsel, recommend, consent to, refer, or participate in any placement of a child for foster care or adoption when the proposed placement would violate the agency's written religious or moral convictions of policy. So that opens the door to legalize discrimination against same-sex couples, but also single parents and even interfaith couples if an adoption or foster care agency claims my religious beliefs. And while you may think, oh, well, the governor is a lady governor, so surely, no, she's a Republican.
What is up with that?
I don't know. I don't understand.
I really don't understand that.
I
don't get it at all.
Yeah. Okay. Now, but listen, this is not boy who cried wolf hyperbole here. This happens all over the country. Gay couples or non-Christians are refused in the adoption process all the time. Also this week, the Kansas legislature approved a bill that allows faith-based adoption agencies to turn away gay and lesbian couples based on their religious beliefs too. Kansas Department for Children and Families would not be able to block any foster or adoption agency, including those receiving public funds, important point of contention, from participating in its programs only because it refuses to adopt or place children with gay people. Both houses are Republican controlled, and the Republican governor said Catholic charities and other adoption agencies are key to the fabric of our community. So expect that to, he said he's looking forward to signing this legislation. Looking forward to it. Michael, you want to talk about adopting kids?
Oh, shit. I have a kid.
Yeah. You want to talk about that process? This is surely this hits home.
Well, I didn't even get to that full process.
Oh.
No, I never did it because I didn't want to pull him to the mud.
Ugh.
So I just held on as long as I could, knowing that he would choose me every time.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, you got really lucky.
I took in one of my friend's kids, and he calls me dad because his dad's a piece of shit. Not a piece of shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like if I pushed the subject, that she would either take him back, or I would have to go so far as to kind of run him through the mud, so that he can find out who everybody was.
Right.
And his dad's a sex offender, and his mom's probably has a long history of just being crappy, and he would have to, so many things would have to be pulled up to where I feel like he would probably not benefit from it at all.
Yikes.
So now he's 17. He can fully choose where he wants to go, and if he wants to, he can divorce his mom.
Emancipate, yeah.
Not masturbate, but emancipate. He probably does masturbate.
Probably. Yeah.
He's
17.
Oh,
yeah.
That boy.
Yeah, probably more than you do.
Yeah.
Which is saying something.
Oh my God. Oh, the image is in my head right now.
I got a photo of that.
Oh, stop.
No.
You want to see? No.
Yeah, so imagine Michael, single, parent, gay.
Yeah.
You go to an adoption clinic and you say, or adoption agency, and you say, I'm interested in adopting a child. Great parent. You come do all the home studies you want, provide a safe environment, raise my kids in a good. Oh,
you're gay.
You're gay.
That means you're gonna touch them.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but Jesus, and so you're gonna have to leave now.
Yeah. Well,
and I just don't understand, how can you? I don't get it. You've got these kids who need loving homes.
Yeah.
And you've got these loving homes who are desperate to have children.
Yeah, they don't want to give it to us.
I just don't get it. But also not just queer people, right? But also if you're a Muslim couple and you come in and I want to adopt a child, they can say, "Oh, that hijab, we don't take care of you people here. There's another place you could probably go, but not here." Legal. They're legalizing this crap.
So stupid. Meanwhile, kids sit in the system and grow up in the system.
Hurt.
Being neglected, hurt, feeling no love.
Yep.
Not thriving. It's disgusting.
That's why I'm lucky. I didn't have to go through that process.
You're very lucky.
Yeah.
I just had a girl say, "You want my kid?" I'm like, "Yep."
Yep.
Yep.
And I just think of all of the people that really want kids, and you're gonna turn them away, not because they don't make enough money, not because they don't have the right house, or they don't have enough room for a kid, not because they have a criminal record, not because
right? all the good reasons to not adopt a child to somebody.
There are so many reasons that I can say, okay, that's a justified reason.
Yeah.
But because you are attracted to somebody the same gender as you, or because you don't read the Bible, seriously?
Yeah. All right, let's move on and talk about this. So we've talked about this before, and I don't understand why people are so fucking worked up about the Boy Scouts. I don't get it.
Oh yeah, they're changing it. They're not going to call it Boy Scouts anymore.
Right.
They're gonna call it Scouts of America.
What, so the new name as of February 2019 is Scouts BSA.
What's BSA stand for?
Boy Scouts of America.
So what's the difference?
Exactly. But I think they're trying to spin it and like in the same way that PFLAG doesn't stand for parents and families of lesbians and gays anymore. Right? Now we just acronymed it and it's PFLAG, and because we wanted to broaden it to more than just lesbians and gays, right? In the same way, okay, fine. Right? But here's the problem, like you still are super homophobic biggity.
Right.
You still have a molestation problem. There's plenty of like other baggage that y'all need to be addressing. But okay, the Boy Scouts have changed their name, and they're going to start accepting girls into the program.
Now, what about Girl Scouts?
Now, the Girl Scouts, so this is the part of the conversation, like I say, we've had this to an extent. They are two completely independent, separate organizations. They are nothing to do with each other.
But, oh no.
Yeah,
it's all good.
Ooh, gave me a heart attack. I looked over and we were gone.
Yeah, Windows is trying to update itself again. Patreon.com/SarahTalk.
Right.
This laptop is a piece of crap and we need to replace it. Okay, so it can't update to Windows 10 update or whatever because it doesn't have enough space in the hard drive. And it doesn't have enough space in the hard drive because they didn't put a large enough hard drive in the thing.
Can you buy a hard drive?
You
I
see
have
that
one.
black
There's
thing
one
right there?
next
There's
to
a
it.
big black hard drive right there.
Stop it. Big black and hard. So they're independent. They're not connected at all. They don't have the same leadership. They have nothing to do with each other. Now, Girl Scouts have
they
recently started accepting trans girls into
every girl.
Yeah,
right. It was like
which was great. We loved that. But here's the thing. So let's say you have a child, and we're gonna start in a binary speak. Let's say you have a child who's interested in camping and canoeing and hiking and ziplining and adventure-y, outdoorsy stuff of any gender. You could easily say, right, but you can get that from either organization. Depends on where you live, right? Because some Girl Scout troops don't do that.
Yeah, no.
If you don't have the right troop leader, they're into, all right, well, we're going to braid each other's hair and sell cookies and shit. And that's what we're going to do. That's our Girl Scouts.
We're going to go to Publix, we're going to sell our cookies, and then we're going to go home. It's too hot out
Which
here.
you got to raise funds. Okay, I get that. But, like, let's make bracelets and braid each other's hair. Some girls are into that. Some boys are into that.
Well,
but not all boys or all girls are into that. Now, here's where that becomes a problem. When you're in a small town like I grew up in, there is not a choice in, oh, well, this troop doesn't do the stuff I like to do. I'll go to a different troop.
You have one.
Well, yeah, if you want to drive 25, 30 minutes to the next town over to go to a different troop, but odds are they're probably not doing it any different. And they're all connected to the church. Most of them in these small rural towns.
Yeah.
And I got into a conversation with somebody on their Facebook that was like, look, I don't normally get into like these arguments and debates, but here's what I think about the thing, right? And so I chimed in, and somebody responded that, like, yes, the Boy Scouts of America, in the same way the YMCA is a Christian organization.
Yeah.
Well, I got a problem with that, right?
Yeah.
From the start. Doesn't matter what you do with your policies. Right. Based on that, I'm probably not going to take my kid there because I don't want you indoctrinating them when you're supposed to be, teaching them how to find their way home in the forest.
Or tie a knot.
Right. But my response back to this person was, great, because they didn't want to do it. I don't see why we need to let girls in the Boy Scouts, vice versa, whatever. Why can't they have separate organizations? And I said, great. Now, where do you put the non-binary kid? Where do they get to go?
Yeah.
Are we determining on parts? Are we determining it on presentation? Like,
it should be
age
range and interests.
Yes, there is no reason to be dividing children by parts like this. There's no reason.
And that that is across the board. That's where it happens. I just went on a field trip with our son this past week, and they've got all the kids paired off into their groups. Okay, we're gonna the boys go over here and the girls go over here, and I'm just like, what? We ended up just a few parents. We just got all of our kids together. We had like 5 or 6 kids together. Couple girls, couple boys, whatever.
Yep.
Went. But that's not how they grouped us. We just had the nerve to say, actually, we're gonna do this.
It's so stupid.
And it's like,
so. And one of the arguments somebody made was, okay, well, then let's say they go on like a camp out. You're gonna have to really watch them to make sure that they're not end up in each other's tents. And I said, do you realize that some girls like girls?
Right.
You want to know what goes on in those tents?
Some boys like
some boys like boys.
You know.
So how do you?
Yeah.
God.
I mean,
it's stupid. The whole thing is stupid. And again, I think if we were showing children how to get along with each other, period, regardless of gender,
from the beginning,
and not putting them into 2 different groups and saying that you're interested in different things,
right,
and that you can't be trusted together. Right. And then we wonder why people are so fucked up in their adult years and like can't figure out interpersonal relationships.
Just right. Know that kids they like to see different, like they might touch each other just because they're just curious.
Mm-hmm. And there's nothing wrong with that. And if we were teaching our kids from the appropriate age as they become curious about different things, then it's not uncomfortable and it's not awkward, and they just grow up to be normal human beings, as normal as they can be in said society.
Well, who the fuck cares?
Fuck.
Right? You say. Well, the triggered internet. Here are a few comments that I pulled from various comment feeds.
Why would you read the comments?
Because
why would you read the comments? You're not supposed to read the comments.
Rochelle says, whether we want to accept it or not all activities should be co-ed. Boys and girls are different, all caps. It is a lie to say Girl Scouts do not offer the same activities as Boy Scouts. Well, I just addressed that. Depends on your troop. You may have Girl Scout troop leaders who don't want to camp out, for example, but those activities exist. I, for one, will not be re-enrolling my son in Boy Scouts next year. At times, boys need to be with boys and girls need to be with girls. It is a healthy part of development. Wrong. Error. I don't agree.
Does not compute.
And for those who disagree, this is good. Why do women have girls' nights out? Or men have man caves?
Oh my fucking God.
Adults recognize the need to be with the same gender from time to time, to bond and talk about things you can't discuss in mixed company.
That is such utter fucking bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Half of my girls' nights out, mind you, are with a bunch of gay boys. So...
Right.
But that's because I don't like going to football games. If I had interest in football games, I have plenty of friends that would do that too.
Right.
Not saying all my straight friends like football or all my gay friends don't, but you know what I mean?
Right.
You like to go out?
Everybody has different interests.
You go out?
You can hit him.
Who?
You can hit Michael.
Owl.
Who?
Ooh. You an owl?
No.
There's somebody here? I thought it was just the two of us.
Oh, just the two of us.
Listen,
Okay.
I have friends.
Okay.
I go out.
That sounds like a thing I went to and...
So she says
So mean.
adults need to be with their own from time to time, blah, blah, blah. Shouldn't we allow this same opportunity to our children? # common sense.
No.
# get the fuck off of internet. That's
right. Again, maybe if you didn't instill all of that like separatist ideology into the children when they're children,
right,
you wouldn't have adults who feel this way.
Yeah.
You should be able to bond with people.
Mm-hmm.
Period, regardless of gender. Again, on interest. It is a problem that you put a bunch of people together and they natively split off. But they do that because we've taught them that from early on.
Right.
Yeah, then we're not allowed to, like, when you get into relationships, you're like, oh, well, you can't go hang out with the boys because then that means you're going to do stuff with the boys.
Right.
Right? So then girls can never be friends with boys anymore, and boys can't be good friends with girls anymore because they're in relationships either or with the other sex or whatever.
Right.
And then that's it. And then they're told that they can only hang out with boys for the rest of their life.
Yep. And again, lost in all of this is the non-binary kids who don't fit anywhere.
It's just so stupid.
Okay, here's another Facebook comment. This one's fun. From May January.
May January.
That's the name?
Yeah.
May January?
Yeah.
Is that a real name?
Yes.
No.
Everything's fun and games. Everything's fun and games until boys become boys and girls become girls.
What?
And a little boy looks at a little girl because their hormones are raging. And then you start traumatizing children by trying to label them as sex offenders for normal childhood behavior. 1952 called it... Wait, I made that joke last week.
Wait.
Boys eventually, hormones are going to pump, hormones are going to rage, and if you got girls in the Boy Scouts group, well, eventually it's just things are going to happen, and then and then we're going to have to call these these kids sex offenders.
Here's the problem, and this is why this all gets lost in the shuffle. So you put a bunch of girls in the cabin.
Amen.
And girls are going to be girls. And girls are going to try things with their girls.
Yeah.
And there's boys that are going to try things with their boys. And the only reason that you don't hear about that is because nobody accidentally gets pregnant.
Katy Perry. I kissed the girl I liked it.
That's the only reason that it's a problem for you to put boys and girls together. But you know what? Just teach them better sex education. Yes. And you won't have any accidental pregnancies because you put them together. And let hormones be hormones. Things are going to happen, and it's natural.
Couldn't say it better myself. Wilma Taylor Brown says, so Boy Scouts can now be girls. When they go camping, will all be just one big tent?
Oh, fucking learn how to write.
The world has lost moral values. There is nothing for kids to strive for. They can be just whatever they want.
Wait.
But, no, come on, let me finish.
Oh.
But when they are all in therapy, who will they blame? Girls are girls, boys are boys. Let things be what they are. Stop trying to change the world. If you don't like this comment, I really don't care. I think this is wrong, so don't start bashing me for what I think. Becca, please bash Wilma Taylor Brown for what she thinks.
So kids can be whatever they want.
Exactly.
So you don't want your kid to grow up to be whatever they want? Well, then you shouldn't have had a child. First of all, I take issue with that, if that's a problem.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
I get the big guns out tonight for the show.
Pull it in there. A little nozzle, but it does a big kick. 2-incher.
I want rum.
Oh, too many calories in that. Then.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's totally not on my diet. That's like a week's worth of calories.
It's like 1,800 calories.
I know.
Dan says common sense. There's nothing common about sense. You're right.
Absolutely.
It's not common.
No.
It's
endangered.
Yeah. Right. And I don't know. I think I want to just keep ranting about this, but I think I've said everything.
I think you're beating a dead horse.
I think I've said everything I have to say.
The only thing better than beating a dead horse is...
What? Tell me.
I don't know.
Two teens are in custody in North Carolina after school administrators discovered a hit list compiled by 2 Franklin High School teens. The hit list included at least 11 names, including students, a principal, and various community members. Macon County Sheriff's deputies later found a cache of weapons in the home, and one of the teens, including shotguns, revolvers, pistols, and airsoft pellet guns. Superintendent Chris Baldwin said that students intended to do harm, and the sheriff's office has launched an investigation. He said, quote, the title on one of the lists had hit list number 2 written at the top. The other list we discovered was hit list number 3, which had new names added, including community leaders. Principal Barry Wood, I don't know.
Very Woody?
But the principal,
Barry.
the principal whose name was on one of the lists,
Oh my God.
confronted the 2 students and asked them why he was on their list. Baldwin said, quote, "The male student explained it was because the principal made him and his girlfriend disengage from personal displays of affection in the common areas recently. The girlfriend is the other author of these lists."
Oh my God.
So they found this table full of guns in this kid, 16 years old.
That's insane.
How did he
Kids'
get
room?
this many guns?
Exactly.
Who
Right.
helped him get those guns?
Right?
Dad? Uncle Joe?
Who knows?
Grandpa Bob?
Where was
And
this?
that hasn't been released yet.
They need
North
to be
Carolina.
taken away there.
Oh, North Carolina, thems are hunting rifles.
Yeah, but they had pistols too.
Yeah, no, I'm.
Yeah, revolvers. But okay.
The whole family needs to have their licenses revoked.
Yeah, you think?
You would think this is the craziest thing, but it's not. That's not the first weird thing to happen in Macon County, North Carolina this week.
Oh my.
Same school district. A group of Mountain View Intermediate students were found to be involved in a suicide pact as part of Instagram or Snapchat communities called Edgy or Edgy Fan Page 101. Superintendent Chris Baldwin, busy guy this week, said, quote, "We have knowledge that at least 3 students were involved in the actual suicide pact, but we were told there could be as many as 20 students involved."
Oh my God.
A school nurse, the hero of the story, was tipped off to the suicide pact and reported it. 5th and 6th graders.
That's so scary.
I mean, even though they might have not done anything, they just did it for like cool reasons.
Right.
It's still not
Yeah,
cool.
but no.
Yeah, no. So I'm
a lot of kids.
I'm
20,
glad there was some
maybe?
intervention
Yeah.
here. I'm glad that the nurse caught wind of it,
Yeah.
took it seriously,
Right?
did all the right things.
That's
Wow.
ridiculous.
Yes.
Are we taking a break?
Yeah, we'll take a break.
We're taking a break?
At some point. Not right now. No. This is lining up to work out right at the hour mark.
Oh, well, okay.
The next story, we haven't talked about this on the show yet. It's kind of an old story now, but there is a recent addition to the story. There's some new developments. And we haven't talked about it on the show yet because this is one of those stories that like for the reporting end of it, okay, fine, but like as an ally, I feel like it would be better to find voices from the community to lift up rather than, like, yes, I can say, here are the supportive things that I have to say because this happened to your community and I think it's bullshit. But, you know, I think it's not necessarily my place. If you can provide the voices from the community.
Right.
Which I tried to do.
You tried.
Just saying.
Some people just don't show up.
He's
He's not even watching us.
No, he's not.
By the way.
I know. Okay.
For me?
No.
Okay. So I'm sure you guys saw the news about the 2 black men in Philadelphia who were arrested on April 12th for sitting in a Starbucks, which
so dangerous.
This may be part of the problem, fellas. Like, Starbucks is really overrated.
Yeah,
You
don't
could
go there. That's so
totally
stupid.
find a better
Why would
place.
you do that? Dunkin' Donuts is so...
Oh, I love Dunkin' Donuts. I'm
So
going to stop
amazing.
and get it on the way home.
Hate you.
Dante Robinson and Rashawn Nelson were sitting in a Starbucks waiting for another man, Andrew Yaffe, who is white, for a business meeting to discuss a potential real estate opportunity. According to the New York Times, when they asked to use the restroom before they had purchased anything, an employee said no. They were eventually asked to leave, and when they did not, the manager, presumably unaware that black people can conduct business that isn't drug-related, called the police. So, before we get into the settlement, let's go around the table here and just maybe discuss the incident itself.
They're going to get sued and they're going to lose a lot of money.
With Starbucks?
No?
Well, they came out and made a bunch of noise about how they're gonna do training and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Which I think, yay, but
How did they walk in there with sagging pants and
well, and you know what?
t-shirts?
And even if they
And
did,
even if they
that's,
did.
who cares?
Right.
But like, it makes it worse if they anyone that
Yeah.
walks in looking like a hoodlum, white, black, Asian, whatever,
Whoever.
you keep your eyes on them because you're like, they're gonna start trouble, or they just
That's racist.
It is.
It's racist
It is.
to think that way.
yeah.
Whether they're dressed like it's.
This is when, as an ally, I feel comfortable to stand up
Right.
and go, no, that's not a thing we should be doing.
Yeah.
If you've got somebody in your fucking dollar store who's shopping, walking around the aisles that matches that description, again, of any race,
Yeah.
to follow them
Single
because
them out.
yeah, like to keep an eye on them or
discrimination.
what it is.
It is.
It definitely is.
And I just think, is this an isolated incident? Is it, or because there was another guy that came out after the fact and said he had issues in a Starbucks too. A police officer, I think it was, a black police officer, had issues with the Starbucks.
So here's some pictures.
But
oh yeah, see there, he's got a hoodie. That's what it is. He's
But
got a
listen,
hoodie.
His
but
hair
here's,
braided.
you know what though? Listen, and this is the thing that gets me real angry. They look at black people and they assume the worst. What if that had been Kanye West? Now, I am no Kanye fan. I think Kanye is a piece of...
He is.
But he's got money. He's obviously not going to go into a Starbucks and rob a Starbucks. But what if he walked in there and they didn't recognize him and it was him waiting on a meeting about a charity event or whatever.
Right.
And they
Right.
called the police on him.
I'm just waiting for Kim. She's gonna come over here
Right?
and get
Right.
some coffee.
Right? Like I just think, at some point, when is it going to tip? When is it going to be the wrong black guy that they, whoever, you know what I mean? I really hope it happens soon because people need to understand that you cannot look at somebody and make a snap judgment like that about who they are and why they're there just because of their skin color or their clothing or how they
Right.
look.
Right.
Like, you know what? I go to Target sometimes dressed like I should be going to Walmart. You know what, though? Target doesn't say, oh, no, you can't come in here.
Right.
You're wearing a blue shirt today.
You look like you're from Walmart.
Like, but can you imagine if that happened
Right.
everywhere
Right.
to everyone? Like, oh, there are places that are very expensive and they require black tie attire to come. Like that
Right.
kind of stuff I can understand. But
That's
Starbucks,
communicated up front, and
right,
everybody knows the
but
expectation.
Starbucks?
Yeah.
Seriously.
Let's do a quick go back before I read on here. Because was it last week we talked about the New York City guy who had the MAGA hat on?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so
Yeah.
I want to clarify my position on that. I said that I did not agree with the judge's decision, and the judge decided that it was well within the right of the business owner to deny service because of the hat.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the trial was funny because they're like, they tried to spin it to be like, no, this is about a religious belief. And the judge was like, so how was the restaurant, the bar, supposed to know about this individual's religious belief?
Yeah.
Well, he had the hat on. How many people are in this religion? And then the lawyer was like, well, we don't purport to say anything about the numbers or whatever. We're not. And the judge was like, so one? Yeah, this is a religion of one. And the lawyer says, yeah. So, having listened to opening arguments, they covered this on their recent episode. The line drawn down the middle here is that it is well within the right of a business to refuse service, as long as it is not, and this is why the decision went the way it did, as long as it is not a protected class. Okay. So I can't tell you to leave because of your Jesus shirt, because you're a Christian. I can't tell you to leave because you're wearing a Satanic Temple shirt.
Right.
I can't tell you to leave because you're black. I can't tell you to leave because you're a woman.
Right.
I can't tell you to leave because of your age. All of the things that are protected in the Civil Rights Act, those are the things with which we, that's the measuring stick.
They're protected.
So I still don't, I come down on the side of, I don't think we should be discriminating on the basis of you're wearing a hat I still don't like it.
No.
Now, it is what it is. That's the legal precedent. But I'm just saying, I don't like it.
And is it, that's the thing, is it the hat or is it a hat? Because going back, there's plenty of establishments that have no shirt, no shoes, no service. So if you don't want people to wear hats inside of your restaurant, then put a sign up outside that says, please don't wear hats inside of my restaurant.
This was the hat.
But if it's the hat and
Right.
what is on the hat, then
Right.
that's completely, it's just stupid.
Okay, so Starbucks CEO Kevin Johnson came to Philadelphia to personally apologize to the men and announced that more than 8,000 Starbucks stores in the U.S. would close on the afternoon of May 29th to train around 175,000 employees on unconscious bias. Unconscious bias is exactly what you just described of, I saw a guy come in and he looked sketchy.
Yeah.
Okay, well, tell me what are the things that you're seeing that look sketchy, and that's the bias. Go ahead.
And that bias can be different for different people.
Oh, yeah.
I grew up in a pretty decent neighborhood, and I knew that if you went on this side of the railroad tracks, you're going to see people that look like this.
Mm-hmm.
And if you were on this side of the railroad tracks, people looked a little different. Neither one of those ever made me uncomfortable. You went really far down, there was some people that made me uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But the people that lived on that side of the railroad tracks were probably more comfortable with the people that looked like them.
Yeah.
So you can't do that, because every person is going to have a different interpretation of what they're comfortable with. I don't know.
Starbucks also offered the two men the opportunity to complete their undergrad degrees through the Starbucks College Achievement Plan, which is a program that covers tuition for eligible employees. So
They're covered in
there you go.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys are entrepreneurs. They're So, and Dan said in the group, the men just received scholarships to Arizona State University.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Russell says political parties are not protected.
Right. That's
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
the argument of the New York City hat case.
Yeah.
Is that you were discriminating against this guy on the basis of his political party affiliation, basically, because he's wearing a Trump hat, and political parties is not in the race, religion, creed, sex, whatever.
Victoria says, if the hat said kill all, insert descriptive, would it still be just a hat?
I think where that line draws is, again, is it inciting violence? Right. We talked last week about the Disney company policy that we had to enforce, where if somebody was wearing a not appropriate for a family environment T-shirt, that we would have to approach them and say, we need you to change shirts, take it off, turn it inside out, something, whatever. And it was usually nothing like, kill the gays or anything. It was
pot or
fuck or like a bad word,
I don't even think we made them take
but again, that
marijuana
was
leaves
like,
off.
No, we didn't.
Yeah.
But again, that's a company policy.
Yeah.
That you can go find that on their website.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
This is a not allowed thing.
It's in the disclaimer when you purchase your ticket, you agree to abide by those policies.
Right. Right. So if your hat says, hate the N-word,
you're gonna
take the hat off.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to allow that in my establishment.
Right.
I hope that clears it up. Hope that makes sense. Robinson and Nelson settled with the city, so that was a Starbucks agreement. Settled with the city of Philadelphia for a symbolic $1 each.
Yeah.
And here's why. This is what's cool. a promise from the city officials to create a $200,000 program for young entrepreneurs, specifically students from Philadelphia public high schools. So to create this program to help these kids, kids, I'm so old, launch their business ideas and help, teach them business in the high school environment.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was like the best way they could have used this to spin the situation for something positive.
Yep, and that's what they said. They were like, we just want something positive to come out of this.
Yeah,
and we don't want anybody else to ever go through this again.
Right. Well,
and so that's the Starbucks shutdown for the training.
Yeah.
They weren't kidding. We talked about this at work one night, but there are Disney Starbucks locations too.
Yeah.
And some of those locations are like corporate stores, and some of them are like franchise.
Right.
The ones in the theme parks are franchised. The one at Disney Springs is a corporate store.
So it's closing.
Which is like, holy shit.
Yeah. That's a lot of
business.
That
But you got to do the right thing. You got to.
Yeah, because they're probably going to be sued at the.
I doubt very much that Disney. I don't know. Like, it's one day.
Yeah, but one day can equal like.
Well, I know it's a lot of money, but I'm just like thinking.
$15,000 in coffee.
There's going to be a lot of cast members that are going to have to go without their coffee on that day. Oh.
Yeah, and I don't remember. Did it say like how many hours the training was or whatever? I don't think it did.
It's probably an 8-hour shift. I can't imagine they would make them, because they'd have to pay overtime if they pay them.
But they may not shut the store down for that length of time. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to pay you to come in for an 8-hour shift, but there's a 2-hour training that you have to go through or whatever.
Yeah.
How
many employees for each location is going to depend, like,
right,
how big the class can be, how long the class is, where they have to hold the class, all that stuff.
Sure. Absolutely. Okay. So here's what we're going to do.
What are we going to do?
We're going to take a break. And when we come back, Hobby Lobby is in the news again.
What? You don't say.
Another awful anti-abortion bill.
Ugh.
And an effort by a state to allow school employees to pray with students.
I'm pregnant.
What?
And Michael's pregnant.
Oh my God.
What? All that and more when we come back. You are listening to Sarah Talk.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
You've messed up your daughter's haircut. Do you A, get spiritual?
Mom, where's the mirror?
Beauty is within. Oh.
B, find the positives?
Less time blow drying, more time texting?
Or C, show empathy?
Mom, you really don't have to.
Twinsies!
I kinda love it. You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on adoption, visit adoptuskids.org. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
In today's health-conscious society, you have many beverage choices. But do you know what's in all of them? So much sugar, sodium, and things you can't even pronounce. Dihydrogen monoxide. What's that? Sometimes you wish you just had a simple, more elegant solution for your beverage needs. Introducing H2O, the first ever chemical-free thirst quencher. H2O is simple, simply composed of 3 portions of 2 elements, hydrogen and oxygen. H2O means chemical-free, unlike water, which is filled with all sorts of shit. When we tested H2O, we found traces of no other elements. So pure, the bottle may as well be fucking empty, with all the same nutritional content as a breath of cool mountain air. First widely featured on Goop.com, actress Gwyneth Paltrow revealed that she exclusively uses H2O for her vaginal steaming process. After all, why use water when you can steam it with H2O? So now we invite you to run out to your local garden hose and drink that shit. Remember, it's not water, it's H2O.
H2O bottled by Flint Bottling Company in Flint, Michigan. Product not actually endorsed by Goop or Gwyneth Paltrow. Please do not use H2O for vaginal steaming, or better yet, please do not steam your vagina. H2O is actually just water. Water is a set of molecular compounds. It's a chemical. Everything is a chemical.
I was feeling so alone. I'm glad I asked for help. Whatever it is, ask for help.
If you're thinking about suicide or need support, call the Trevor Lifeline at 1-866-488-7386.
Want to join the conversation or tell Sarah she's wrong? Email producer@SarahTalk109 or call 224-40-SARAH. That's 224-407-2724. Now, more Sarah Talk.
Welcome back to Sarah Talk. I'm Sarah Austin in the studio with my lovely wife Becca and the amazing Michael Kaplan.
Hey, doggy.
Are we really lovely and amazing?
Yes.
Yes, we
you
are. Hello.
Yeah.
I don't know. You don't have to take yours, but I'll take mine for sure. I take everything I can get.
Okay.
Go for it.
There
See, he wanted it. He took it.
Yeah, I did.
Do you remember when we talked about Hobby Lobby getting busted for smuggling artifacts out of Iraq?
Do I?
According to the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, nearly 4,000 ancient artifacts were returned to Iraq this week, having been purchased by the anti-gay craft store giant Hobby Lobby, and then smuggled into the U.S. $1.6 million this company spent on illegal artifacts, all because they were hoping to exploit them in their Jesus Museum. The Museum of the Bible, 430,000 square feet of smiting and stoning in Washington, D.C., opened last November and received $201 million in artifacts from Hobby Lobby.
Oh, my.
Are they a Jesus company?
Oh, yes.
Oh,
yes. Yes.
He's Jesus. Oh, my arts and crafts.
Are they closed on Sunday?
What was the original? No, they're not as bad as Chick-fil-A. They were. What was the original story? They were refusing to.
They didn't want to
give
birth control
yeah, that's what
coverage. They didn't want to pay for the insurance that would cover birth control for their employees.
Yeah.
Stupid.
In 2017, the Justice Department filed a complaint, and Hobby Lobby agreed to pay a $3 million fine and surrender the artifacts. So there you go. Artifacts are on their way home. Headed back to Iraq. And they said they were going to put them in a, like a national museum.
Yeah, well.
But it's like old, biblical-ish era tablets and
like
cuneiform
tablets,
and,
like an iPad.
Yeah.
Oh wow, they had this back then.
Yeah, with a hammer and a chisel.
One screen.
Oh my gosh.
Last week we talked about that garbage monument to unborn children in Tennessee.
Ugh.
Well, we have to revisit the topic of abortion again. I'm sorry. Iowa just passed the strictest abortion ban ever.
Oh, I saw this. This pissed me off.
And again, like, if you think this stuff is just one-off, garbage states doing stupid stuff, you have not been listening to this show long enough. There is an organized effort right now to overturn Roe v. Wade and Obergefell, for that matter. And if you can't see it happening, you probably have your head stuck in the sand.
Yeah.
Republican Senator Rick Bertrand said, quote, "Today we will begin this journey as Iowa becomes ground zero nationally for the life movement," aka the anti-abortion movement, "and the starting line back to the Supreme Court. I believe this bill will be a vehicle that will ultimately provide change and provide the opportunity to overturn Roe v. Wade." Flat out fucking said it. There's nothing hidden about the agenda. Today, the pro-life movement won a battle, but the war rages on. End quote.
Ugh.
While you were asleep, a bill that would ban almost all abortions after a fetal heartbeat is detected passed the House late Tuesday night after 9 hours of debate, and then passed in the Senate early Wednesday morning. The bill would ban most abortions after about 6 weeks into a pregnancy, with some exceptions for rape, incest, fetal abnormalities, and to save the life of the mother. So, give you something, I guess. But this idea that we're drawing the line at, we detect a heartbeat, now it's live.
Like,
I don't.
And 6 weeks is nothing, people.
Yes, as someone who's been pregnant, please
I didn't even know that I was pregnant the first time until I was at, 9 weeks. And the second time I was about 8 weeks. So I would have been screwed. If I not that I would have because we were in a healthy place, but a lot of women don't know at 6 weeks.
Yep. Right. Which is the agenda.
Yeah.
That's the agenda, right? Because the idea is to move the goalpost to the point where, you might have gotten an abortion, but you didn't find out in time, so too bad.
So, oh my God. Ugh. The person who went and studied all the case files to come up with that number, because I'm sure that there's statistics somewhere that say, the average woman's first prenatal visit is at this week. I'm sure somebody did those studies.
Oh, yeah.
And whoever did those studies, shame on you. I hope you rot in hell.
Twice.
For 6 weeks.
Oh, no. Lifetime.
The governor, Kim Reynolds, hasn't commented on the bill yet, but spokeswoman Brenna Smith issued a statement saying that Reynolds is, quote, 100% pro-life and will never stop fighting for the unborn, end quote.
I'm going to make my angry face now.
Right. And again, let me step back and I'll repeat a little bit from last week, but again, my position is the line drawing thing, right? Okay, when is life? It's great. You can put a lot of real fucking intelligent people in a room and none of them agree on what that metric should be. But regardless of where we draw that line, it's not my place to tell you what you do and don't do.
My life didn't start until I was 25 years old, so...
That's the truth.
I mean, life is different for everyone, I guess. Stupid.
Louisiana senators ultimately...
Yes, Victoria.
Yes, Victoria says the only wall that needs to be built is between church and state. Amen, hallelujah.
I've been saying that for years.
Yes.
Are you tired of winning yet? Are you tired of winning yet?
Louisiana senators unanimously passed a bill that would allow teachers and coaches to pray with students while acting in their role as school employees. Now, listeners of the show will know rather well that teachers and coaches participating in prayer with students is simply unconstitutional, as we've discussed on many a show, but one recently where my hick hometown was challenged by the Freedom from Religion Foundation for coach-involved prayer. So, how on earth do they think this is going to get by?
Hope and a prayer.
Senator Ryan Gaddy is behind this bill, which has a loophole, you see, which he believes would pass the constitutional muster. School staff would be able to pray with kids, ready? Get this, as long as it doesn't interfere with their work, and as long as every parent or legal guardian, quote, has submitted a signed request that the employee may participate in the gathering or pray with the child.
Okay, wait. So basically, they're going to send home permission slips for prayer.
Prayer permission slips. That's right.
Prayer slip.
That's right.
That's such bullshit.
And again, the reason why this is unconstitutional and should be is that here we go again. All right, kids, it's time to pray. Let's see who turned in their permission slips.
Johnny, did you get yours today?
Billy. Oh, Michael. Michael, you're going to have to step out the room right now.
I can't do it with you
We'll
guys?
let you know when it's time to come back in.
God doesn't bless you, Michael. You'll have to leave.
Okay.
You can't be a part of our prayer.
You sure, guys?
Pray in your church. Pray in your home. Pray in your head. But don't pray at school.
No, it doesn't belong there.
No. And again, if you're a child, if you're a student, and you want to say a prayer before your test, ain't going to help you, go right ahead. But you can't have the teacher come sit with you and pray with you.
That's
the problem.
All this does And this is coming from somebody who was isolated as a child, who had to leave the room when there were birthdays, who had to leave the room when we had projects about Christmas that we had to do. All this does to that child is distract them and hinder their growth.
You're supposed to be educating
not
them,
only
by the way.
theirs, but everybody else in the room, because everybody else in the room is all like, oh, what's going on over there?
Right.
Nobody's focusing on what they're supposed to be focusing on, and that's their education, not their indoctrination, their education. Say it again. Education. This makes me so mad.
Amen.
Hallelujah.
Now, in lieu of a proper Florida Man segment tonight, because I didn't cull the stories, I thought, and this is going to be the long segment, Dan. I hope you have some food. I thought we'd tackle this news story about a survivor of the 2016 June mass shooting attack on the Pulse nightclub, where 49 people were killed. And I stuck my foot in it on Facebook.
Yeah.
and Twitter and okay. Everywhere that I shared the story,
volume just plummeted.
Plummeted.
Well, you can check the feed. So Luis Javier Ruiz, you know this guy?
Who?
Luis
Do you have a
Javier
picture?
Ruiz. No. Now says that he found Christ and is no longer gay.
Oh, no. We lost one to them.
On Facebook, he talks about looking at pictures from the night of the Pulse shooting and remembering, quote, my struggles of perversion, heavy drinking to drown out everything, and having promiscuous sex that led to HIV. My struggles were real. No disagreement. The enemy had its grip, and now God has taken me from that moment and has given me to Christ. End quote. Now, I already weighed in on this topic on various social media places, so let's go around the table, and we'll come back to my opinion. Un momento.
I want to hear your opinion, but what do you have to say?
Why do I have to go first?
Well, because you're second in command.
Oh. Well, wait. Second?
Yeah, 1, 2.
No. I'm in charge.
That's the boss.
I don't like you. Okay, so I just think this is just truly sad. Like, I'm not going to put the guy down. You want to go believe in Jesus, fine. But I think it's really sad that...
You can still be gay and believe in Jesus.
Right. Like, I know plenty of friends and, you know, in the queer community that have been able to stay in religion and find peace there and happiness and
maybe he feels because
and still
he's
be
gay,
themselves.
He was a victim, but I mean, he was going to go to Disney. And
right.
Yeah,
the guy.
I don't think it cased it because it didn't start to be like.
Well, there was a whole bunch of things that happened that they thought that there were reasons that they thought that this wasn't an attack on the LGBT community.
Right.
So, you know, you go back through all of that stuff. I mean, when he got there, he was like, where's all, you know, like was just confused about the place that he was in. So, I don't think that I just don't know necessarily. I don't think that anybody could say 100% that this was absolutely an attack on the LGBT community. So I feel like just sad for this individual.
Well, what's going to happen
if he feels that he was there and he was attacked and okay, fine, and because he was in that place, it was the wrong place to be. But now he survived and he's gotten a second chance and he's going to go get right with God. Whatever's going through his head, it just makes me sad because there are plenty of affirming religions.
Right.
Because now
you can go to a UU church and they're going to affirm your identity.
Right. Like, you don't necessarily have to say, like, it just makes me sad that he would go that far.
Now he's going to be a victim of him not being who he truly is.
Right, exactly. Like, he's going to have to live with that. It's basically back in the closet.
Yeah.
And I just think, gosh, if I had come out of that situation, and maybe this is just, people being different, but I would hope that if I had come out of that situation, it would make me stronger in my identity. Like, because I almost died, and I could have died.
And for most of I would say they did.
Right.
I would say most of them came out of that experience stronger.
I just think it's really sad to me. It just feels really like kind of heartbreaking that somebody could be pushed back into the closet and not.
Oh, isn't that awful?
Yeah.
I hated being in that fucking closet.
Like
No fucking light or anything.
You can't be yourself. You can't be genuine, be authentic, be happy. I just.
You don't breathe. You can't. Yeah. There's no light for you to grow. Who you are, you're hidden.
Yeah.
That's how it was. I was just stuck there. Couldn't be myself. Didn't even want to.
Yeah.
Yes.
Live properly.
Like that. The feeling, like living with that secret and hiding who you are. It's got to be one of the most difficult things to go through. I don't know how that can be healthy for anybody. I know a lot of people who've gone through it and gotten to the point where they just couldn't anymore.
He'll be back. He'll be back.
So we'll come back to that in a moment. And when I posted this in our listener group, which you should be a part of, I made the comment that this is just another example of religion being toxic and poisoning the well. Let me read to you part of my response from that conversation in the listener group. I said, I don't know this guy's story, but we might assume a few things from his posts. He talks about looking back at pictures from Pulse, considering his drinking and reckless sexual experiences that led to HIV. Had he sought science-based therapy, he surely wouldn't have been expected to turn in his gay card. He'd have been given the opportunity to learn how to handle whatever the motivators were that led to the drinking and the unprotected sex, which, let me add now, is a broader problem in the community.
Mm-hmm.
That is he is not alone. That is in the community.
Yeah.
Something that a lot of us deal with. Be encouraged to embrace his sexuality, but also to be safe and respect his body. That's what you'd get from a science-based therapist. Instead, he was sold a bucket of lies, that Satan had been running rampant in his life, and he needs to give up the gay and come to Jesus. Repent. You were poor, weak sinner, and you can never be anything more without Jesus. Now, faith leaders have learned to say that with a lovely, bright spin, but that's the bottom line. And it's wrong. Yeah. And it's poisonous to a healthy person and a healthy society. And I continued, for the churches that are evolving, which, like the UU church, right? And I argue they must, or otherwise religion would have to resign itself to becoming irrelevant, rusty old relics. For the churches that are evolving, great. But that still doesn't address the core of faith being a poor method of knowing things. Finding fact or truth, or the inherent dogmatic misogyny, racism, and the general power control structure, it still doesn't make the God real. And the very existence of a God has and continues to permit the worst atrocities by its most fervent followers. And I recommended that everyone go out and get Christopher Hitchens' book, God is Not Great, How Religion Poisons Everything. There is a decent video of him speaking at a Google conference where he kind of defends that subtitle, if you want to get to the quick idea of what that is. So basically, my position is this. Yes, some religious people do good things. Yes, sometimes some religious people do good things in the name of their religion. Absolutely. That is a true thing that happens. But far, far worse is done by that same faith in the same God, with the same book, across time and space, and our society would be considerably better if it were just to go away. And again, like this guy, he's not the one I'm after here.
Right.
Right. Like, I want to reach out to this guy with love. Mm-hmm. And, no, man, if you like cock, go get the cock. You don't have to give up the cock to get better.
Right.
And I'm pissed that you went to a place that told you did.
Yeah.
And that place is always a fucking church. Every single time. Mm-hmm. It's always a church. And that's why I'm pissed at religion. That's why I agree with the statement that it poisons everything. And beyond that, it's these faith leaders that are taking advantage of people.
Mm-hmm.
Here's an example. According to reports, Ruiz was planning to attend an event earlier today, the Freedom March in Washington, D.C., which was put on by Voice for the Voiceless, a Virginia-based group dedicated to defending, quote, the rights of former homosexuals, individuals with unwanted same-sex attraction, and their families. According to the group's president, Darren Mell, the event is, quote, an opportunity to testify publicly of the life-changing grace available to leave the LGBT identity for something greater. That is disgusting.
Yeah.
That all confuses the hell out of me.
I just... Victoria says, if God hates LGBTQ people so much, why does he keep making so many of us?
Amen.
Oh, man.
Amen.
This whole thing just... It's so out of control.
Right. And, also, I feel like I should also say something to, the believers out there who are, trying to straddle the gray.
Mm-hmm. I get you want to have a hope, faith, something to ground you, to center you. I understand that.
Right.
But I also understand very well that there are things on this planet, in this earth, people, relationships, things that can do that are not the Bible. Mm-hmm. And I am very concerned at the amount of people who are only accountable for their actions because of the consequences of a God. Right. It scares me. And I mean, I have friends that are great people that I think if they weren't religious, they'd still be good people.
Mm-hmm. But
the fact that they can see evil in the world and blame it on the fact that that person just doesn't have God.
Right.
Okay, so that tells me that you believe that you're only good because God told you to be good. But then that makes me feel like maybe you think I'm not so good. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm a pretty good person. So, and I don't need a God to tell me to be good. I don't need a threat of hell. I don't need, I'm a good person for the sake of being a good person and treating people the way that they should be treated. Uh-huh. I'm a bitch when I have to be. Anybody who knows me or has crossed me knows that. But can we just get to a point where we're not trying to behave because there's somebody in the sky looking at us and he's going to send us to hell if we touch each other in the wrong way, or
yeah,
fuck that. Be a good person because it's the right thing to do for the people around you.
Right.
All right, let me get off my soapbox now.
There's a lot of no true Christian fallacy going on in this too, right? Because you've got again, put 10 people in a room, and some of them are going to say, "Well, see, being gay is a sin. It says it right here. It's in my book. It says it. Being gay, that's not good. You're going to go to hell." And actually, it tells us we should dig a hole and put you in it up to the neck, and then throw rocks at your head. But we don't do that anymore. But it's still bad, and you're still going to die and go to hell and burn. And then you have other people that are like, yeah, but there are churches out there who are loving and accepting and have evolved, but it's still based in this mythicist, magical thinking that by its very nature is problematic.
That's like that right there is the exact reason that when I left my religion of what is my religion of origin, whatever.
Yeah.
When I left that religion, that right there is the reason that I didn't seek out any other religion. Because
that's a good point.
when I was taught and indoctrinated as to why we didn't celebrate, for example, Christmas. Christmas had pagan origins. If you go back and read the origins of Christmas, this is all the things and the whole history of Christmas. All pagan origins. So we don't want to have any part of that because it has a pagan origin. So in my Bible studies, learning about the Bible, learning about religion, once I decided, all right, I'm done, and I separated from that because all the religions come from the same type of control structure, whatever. They might not be the same book. Christianity happens to be, but that's why I never was interested in anything else.
Right.
Because once I broke away from that, I could realize and look back and say, it's all the same. So I don't care if the church on Main Street is affirming and the church on Church Street isn't. Haha. They're still
right,
but they're still the same roots.
But also, I think your experience is so different in that because you started in the church that that's like.
We are the Borg. Lower your shields and surrender your ships. We will add your biological and technological distinctiveness to our own. Your culture will adapt to service us. Resistance is futile.
You're in a fucking cult. You're in a cult.
Yeah.
A straight up, no arguing cult.
Yes. But I was brainwashed to believe that we were true Christians.
Yeah. No, I get it.
So
I get it. But I think that's different from someone who may have grown up in a more liberal interpretation of the whatever.
I absolutely know that. I mean, I have my whole extended family was all different other brands of Christians. Right. So I know that there was definitely a difference, but I don't know. It still all stems from the same beginning. They're the same, the roots are there. It's the same tree sapling, just.
Right. Michael, thanks for coming in tonight.
You're very welcome.
I love it when our in-studio guests show up.
I love it when I can show up.
But also, we love you, Brandon, even though you couldn't make it.
Brandon.
You're a punk. You're a punk, but we love you. Remember, next week, no live show.
None
so
here.
Don't show up at our house.
I won't be
there. And everybody, don't expect the live show announcement to pop up in your feed. We will be posting a pre-recorded show into the feeds. Again, the Patreon feed on Saturday and the public feed on Monday. So, put that on your calendars. And we'll be out of town, so get into the Sarah Talk listener discussion group. Because I will probably be I'll probably have a lot to say about this trip.
Should we live tweet from the...
Maybe, yeah, maybe. Oh, speaking of live tweeting, if you, at Sarah Talk Radio on Twitter, go do that because...
Go help the girl out.
I live tweeted while I read Confessions of a Teenage Jesus Jerk. Just random thoughts that I had as I was reading through it, and that was pretty fun. I enjoyed that. So, that's all I have for this week.
We got to get out of here. Russell's getting sappy in the chat. So.
Oh, God, again? Stop crying.
Yes.
I'll send you my nipple pictures later.
Oh, my God. All right, before we get out of here, we want to thank our awesome patrons over at patreon.com/SarahTalk. They are part-time patron Russell. Thank you again, Russell, for Bernie Sanders. I can't wait to...
play with him?
Yes. I can't wait to take him out of the box.
He sent me a gift, too.
Give him for a go.
Oh, my God.
Andrea, Josie, Harry, the Wayward Willis podcast, who we're going to meet up with soon. Can't wait. Mandy, Stacy, Megan, AJ, and Eric. Go to SarahTalk.com for all things Sarah Talk, our Patreon and PayPal links. Print out a Flat Jesus. Play along with our Flat Jesus game. Nobody's doing that.
I want a Flat Jesus.
I'll print you one out before you leave.
Yeah.
You can color it and everything. And we're featured. Send us your pictures. We'll put them on our website.
Flat Jesus with us too.
I'll send you some
lunch with Wayward Willis.
Yes, that's a great idea. Yeah, absolutely. John, you need to print your own Flat Jesus, and we can put our Flat Jesuses together.
The greatest idea.
I want to put my Flat Jesus with somebody else's Flat Jesus. Just a tip. Go ahead.
Go ahead. What's your great idea?
I can't tell you.
Oh, shit. Okay, after show.
Yeah.
After show. And join the Facebook discussion group, because that's where all the fun conversations are happening, so you should be there. Tune in to the show Saturdays, normally 8 p.m. Eastern, live on Facebook, but not next week because we're going to be out of town.
Yes. So don't come, but you can listen still.
Well,
you can come and listen.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you next week, sort of. This is Sarah Talk.
Sarah Talk is made possible by listener support. Visit patreon.com/SarahTalk to become a patron and help keep this program going. Contact Sarah and Company by email at producer@SarahTalk.com or call 224-40-SARAH. That's 224-407-2724. And follow us on social media, facebook.com/SarahTalkRadio and on Twitter @SarahTalkRadio. Sarah Talk is a production of Sarah Austin Media.